Okay. So the first thing I want to point you guys out to is we try and provide a lot of resources that allow you to kind of self-service any issues that you have. We're obviously here to help at any time, but we also provide a lot of content and ways that you can kind of learn on your own, read, watch videos, etc. So what I want to point out to you guys here is that if you go to www.matboss.com, which is our main marketing website, up at the top of the website, there's a help section here. Within that help section, obviously, we have the customer trainings listed. We're going to be doing these trainings between now and probably the end of November, twice a week. So if there's other folks from your team, assistant coaches, managers, etc., that you're like, hey, I'd like you to sit through this, feel free to go to this page and have them jump on one of the calls that we're having in the future. The second item underneath this help menu is the season setup checklist. So I think this is a good resource. I'll just click on it. I'm going to cover a lot of this stuff here today, but we have a checklist that you guys can print out that goes through some of the key things to look at with your account to get set up and get going for the year. So I think this is a great resource. Print it out, maybe cross some things out when you've done them, and reach out if you have any questions on that. Um, We have a knowledge base. So we have FAQs, articles, training videos, all in this knowledge base. But it's a great place where if you're looking to learn how to do something, you're not sure, if you have a quick question, you can always come in here and type the question. So like, for example, let's say that one of your IT folks came and said, hey, I know you guys are using MatBoss this year. Are there any network or whitelist requirements that we have? You could come in here and type in whitelist or whatever the key phrase is. And you can see there's articles and all the information should be here that you should be able to find and use. So it's a good place to start if you're stuck, to dive into our knowledge base and try and get the answer that you need. Um, as I mentioned earlier, we try and do a great job of customer support. We really take a lot of pride in it, and we want to help anybody that's having problems. So there's a couple things you can do if you're having problems and you're stuck. You can submit a support ticket to us through this help menu. You just click on support tickets and you can see that you could quickly send us a ticket. Somebody from our team will jump on it right away, either call you back or write back to you and get your question or get your issue resolved. At the bottom of that, you'll see we also have a call center number. And so you can call us at any time and somebody from our team will pick up and help you kind of on the spot. So our call center is staffed with folks that can help from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. Central, Monday through Friday. And then during the wrestling season, we're also open on Saturdays from 8 a.m. Central till noon. So if it's the Saturday morning, you're at a tournament, something's not working right or whatever, we'll have people that can answer and help you in any way. And then lastly, I think this is really helpful, and this is something we've put a lot of time in the off season, building out, is we've built a series of really quick tutorial videos on different aspects of the application. So, all these videos are probably 1 to 2 minutes long and show you exactly what you need to do related to that topic. So, if you just click on the tutorials, we have a whole list of really quick hit training videos that you can dive into and watch. That'll show you, probably answer any questions that you guys have related to a specific topic and things like that. And a lot of the things on here, I'm gonna kind of quickly show or talk about today, but another really good resource that you guys can use throughout the season. Okay, before I start jumping into the app and the technology, does anybody have any questions immediately? Or is there anything somebody wants to make sure that I cover as part of this training? Okay. Well, as I go into it, definitely unmute yourself, ask the question, or send a meeting or send the question in the chat, and I'll talk about it and cover it. Okay, so I'm demoing right now from the website. So I'm logged in on a web browser. I'm in a testing account here. But one of the things that you might notice, especially for returning customers, is that the website looks different this year. And so what we've done with the website this year is we have made the website and the app on the devices work and act exactly the same way. In the past with MatBoss, the website was different than the app that you were using on the devices, and so you kind of had to learn both. Now with the way where we've gone this year is that it's all the same whether you're working on the app or you're working on the website. The only difference is obviously you can't film off the website, so you're using the iPads to film and capture video, stats, etc. But all the way that the site acts, the features and functions that you can do are consistent across both the app and website. So now you only have to really learn it once, and if you know how to do it, you know how to do it regardless of what device or platform that you're on. So when you log in for the first time this year, this events page will probably be blank. It will be blank because we've created new scorebooks for the current season, and all accounts will have those or do have those new scorebooks right now. And obviously, there's no events in there to start the season. I have a couple that I've added in here. But the first question we get is, that's great, but I kind of want to look at my stuff from last year, the years before, etc. As a reminder, MatBoss never gets rid of your video. We never get rid of your stats. We will hold that as long as you guys are our customers. And so you can go, we have teams that have been with us since 2014, and they can still go back and watch that video and look at the statistics, etc. So the way you switch between seasons is up in the upper left hand of the website. You can see we're in the current year 25-26. To look at a previous year, you just click on that date range, and then you can select the year that you're trying to look at. So I'll go back and look at last season. And there it is. So I can see all my events are here. I can look at events from my different scorebooks. So again, MatBoss comes with 3 scorebooks that you can name however you want, and you can update the weights. You can basically customize each one of those scorebooks. So for this account, we've named the scorebooks varsity, junior varsity, and middle school. Out of the box, MatBoss also comes with a practice scorebook. The practice scorebook is a great place to mess around with the app, capture video, capture stats, practice with it, maybe capture wrestle offs. A ton of coaches like to get the wrestle offs in on video and scored up, so they have a good reference and can go back to the wrestle off video in case a parent has questions, etc. So the practice scorebook, anything you do in the practice scorebook doesn't roll up to your team's stats. So you're not going to mess anything up with the practice scorebook. And I'd highly encourage everyone to create events in there, practice filming, mess around in the practice scorebook. It's a great place to do all that. MatBoss also comes with a scout scorebook. So the scout scorebook, based on what state and level you are, some states allow teams to capture video on opposing wrestlers that their team isn't even wrestling. So maybe we're at a big tournament and there's a wrestler that's 2 mats down, and we're probably going to hit that wrestler in the state qualifier. In some states, you can go and capture some video on that wrestler. We have a scorebook built into MatBoss that you can use to just capture that sort of video and put it into your account, and then go back and reference that and be able to pull up and use that for scouting purposes. I don't know the rules in every single state, so make sure that it's okay in your state that you can do that before you start capturing other wrestlers' video. And then lastly, this is a new feature that we're really excited about that we think is going to give you guys value, which is we've created a separate freestyle and Greco scorebook in every account. And in this, so if you have wrestlers that are wrestling freestyle and Greco in the off season, maybe they're training for junior nationals or going to junior nationals, etc. We have a spot now where you can capture all that off-season freestyle and Greco, all those matches in video. And the scoring interface that you're going to use for scoring in that is all the freestyle scoring events. And so it's fully built out to be able to capture freestyle and Greco stats, have that video and have that stats segregated from your folk style season, etc. And now your kids will have access to all their off-season video and things like that if you're capturing it. And in a second, I'll show you how to customize and rename and change the weights in these scorebooks. But before I do that, I'm just going to pause for a second. Does anybody have any questions on that so far?
Nothing in the chat, Jer.
Okay. Okay, cool. We'll definitely jump in. Okay, so I'm gonna since I have video and statistics in this last year's season, I'm gonna jump into a couple things and just kind of navigate around and demonstrate a few things. So let me start by maybe going into to one of these dual meets. All right. So when you click into an event, obviously you can see all the matches here, the results, the weight, the wrestler, etc. At any time, like if if the wrong wrestlers were chosen, you can always select on the name and fix that data at any time. One thing about MatBoss is never get too stressed out if like you got the wrong names or you got the wrong scoring events or it was scored incorrectly. All of that stuff can be fixed all the time. And it's pretty easy to fix it. So as long as you have the video and the video's been uploaded to us, the rest of it can be cleaned up and fixed. We can't, if you didn't get the video, there's not much we can do, but don't get too stressed out if scoring or wrestlers are wrong and things like that. So I'm just gonna grab a match here, and I'm gonna play it to show you guys a few things. All right, so I clicked on, I'm playing the match. Um, One of the things here that some coaches know about, but not every coach knows about. So I want to show you is for when you're watching a match that's in your MatBoss account, obviously one way you can watch the video and get to the spot that you want is to use the scrubber bar and try and find the spot that you want. But it's way easier to just click on the scoring event in the timeline that you want to see. And MatBoss is going to take you about 7 to 8 seconds before that scoring event happened. So you so it's really easy to navigate and watch the video. So I'll just pick this takedown in the third period. I clicked on that, and now we're taken right to that, a little bit before so we can see the setup, but we're taken before that takedown. And if I'm like, hey, I'd like to see that again, all I have to do is click on that scoring symbol again in the timeline, and I'm taken right back to the spot. Now, we also have the ability to slow down the video. So if I'm watching that, I'm like, I got to see how he got that slide by. I could click on it. I can come here, maybe put it in 25%. And now the video is going to go to slow-mo where we can really analyze and watch it. Okay. Were most of you guys aware of that? No? Okay, good. Uh, well, I'm glad I showed it. So it makes navigating the video significantly easier. I'm going to show a couple other new features this year on the video. So one thing is, as you're watching your wrestlers' matches, you may want to put notes in there, or you may want the wrestlers to review their own matches and put notes against the match. And so, as I'm watching this match, you can see down in the lower right, there's a text, like a kind of a comment or a text bubble here. If I click on that, it allows me to put matches on this against this or notes against this match. So I could say, great job, let's work on staying aggressive late in the match or something like that. And now when the wrestler watches the video, they can click on it, they can see that note that's in there, and they could even respond like, they come in here and they say, I agree, I'm working on my conditioning or something. And so you can capture match notes in here and that you could even come back and reference and look at. I think that's a great coaching tool that we've added this year. The other thing that we've made easier this year is the ability to telestrate on the videos. So let me go back. Maybe I'll go back to a different takedown or something like that. So next to that comment bar, there's a pencil icon. If I click on that pencil icon, the video stops and now I have drawing tools that are available. So I can click on this like an arrow. I can come here, and maybe I can put a note next to that that says, um, you know, don't hang on head or something, and I can move that around, click save. What you'll notice is when you telestrate on the video, we put a pencil icon on the timeline, so you could always click on that to get to it right away. But what I'll show you here is that when you go back and you watch the video, if I can get to the right spot here, I think it was after the escape. I think it's right around here. So the video is paused for 2 seconds, so you and the wrestler can see those notes, and then the video will carry on like that. So if you think about you're watching a match, you could be putting notes and illustrating on the match, etc. And it's just another good kind of coaching tip or a way that you can kind of get your point across to your wrestlers as you're using the software. Now, if you download that video out of MatBoss, and again, you guys have the ability to download this video and do whatever you want with the video because it's your video. Those illustrations won't be on the video when you pull it out of there. So if you're pulling the video out and you're using it for social media or you're sending it to somebody else, etc., that illustration won't be on there.
Hey, Jeremy.
Yeah,
Ty had a question. He said, in the future, would there ever be a chance to voice record a note instead of typing the note?
that's a
Having
great
an audio note instead of written, basically.
for sure. Yeah, that's a great question, Ty. Thanks for bringing it up. Yes, it is on a roadmap, and it's something that we're going to do. I would expect it's going to be there next season. We uh, we started working on it, and we just didn't get it done in time for the season. So that definitely will be there. Okay. I'm going to show another feature on this match that I'm excited about, and I hope you guys are too. That's a new feature. So let's say that your managers or you guys were capturing video, but the scoring got completely messed up. Like it's not even right, or maybe the manager didn't capture scoring at all, etc. But the video's up here in the account and the scoring's all messed up. You now have the feature where you can click on these three dots at the top of the screen and you can select rescore match. And what that's going to do is I'll say yes, rescore match. It's going to play the match almost like we're watching the match live. And then you'll have the scoring interface here and you can start scoring it almost like you're the manager to rescore it later on. So you can come here, basically fix the whole match just by watching it, etc. And then when you're done, you would just click save and all the new stats and everything are captured and everything's fixed on that match. Now, the other thing I was going to show you is when you telestrate or you put notes on a match, you'll notice that these icons here are underneath the status here. We're indicating that there's notes or drawings on that match because you can see the pencil and the text bubble here on that match. So it's an easy way if you're looking through to just be like, okay, yep, let's look at these, etc. Okay, any questions on that so far? All right, I'm gonna show another nice way to navigate and look at your video. So on the left-hand side of the navigation, there's a tab called Matches. When you click on Matches, Matches includes all the video and all the matches for the season that are in your account. And at the top, you have the ability to filter that either by scorebook, varsity, junior varsity, etc., by event. So you could pick a specific tournament or a specific duel, etc., and look at that. You could pick a specific wrestler. So I'll just grab a wrestler here. And this is the most powerful feature that I wanted to show with this matches tab. So I picked a wrestler. Now let's say I want to say, all right, Troy, we're sitting down, we're looking at your matches. I want to look at how you're getting taken down, right? Let's go through your matches and let's look at your video and let's see if there's any trends with how you're getting taken down. You can click on this any scoring event and I'll pick takedowns against. So I'll pick T3 against. And now what's happened is we've identified all the video clips where this wrestler is getting taken down. And so if I click on the first one, you can see we're getting taken down here. Maybe we look at it and we go, okay, looks like that, you got taken down in a double. But Now to go to the next clip, up in the upper right, it says next T3 against. If I just click on that, it's going to take me to the next spot where I got taken down. It's like, all right, go to the next one. And so we're looking for, it's an easy way to quickly look at specific scoring events and look for trends in the video or look for coaching tips out of being able to quickly navigate to these things across different matches. So that's a new feature of MatBoss this year that I just want to make sure that you guys were aware of and knew was there. And you can do that for any scoring event. It doesn't have to just be takedowns. You could do falls, near falls, etc., and really kind of dig into it. And you can do that for and against. Any questions on any of that?
Yeah, sorry, I have a question.
Yeah.
So I guess I can't speak for everybody, but most kids watch their matches either on their school issued iPad or their phone. Are they able to do these kinds of things as well, or is it kind of difficult to see?
They can. Yep. They have the same features on this matches tab. They could do the exact same thing. Yep. Okay. I'm going to move over to stats and reports, if that's all right. So because you're capturing or your team is capturing the video and statistics together, MapBoss is compiling and producing detailed metrics boards and dashboards and reports for you guys to consume and look at to improve your wrestler performance. So, and again, you don't have to do anything extra with that. You just need to capture the stats and matches, etc. And if you fix a scoring event in one of the matches, it's immediately updated here in your stats. So I'm looking at the stats here. We break the stats down in a couple different ways. We break down kind of high level individual metrics, obviously number of matches, win, loss, winning percentage. We have a metric called MatBoss Power Index, which is like a dominance score. Where the higher the number, the better the wrestler on the team. This one's obviously an outlier because you have one wrestler that has one match and he won it. Um, but I know this team and this wrestler was their best wrestler. And so that's a good way to gauge kind of dominance of your wrestlers. But then we're also capturing things like falls for and against, tech falls for and against, majors for and against, etc., all the way to team points for and against. We also break your wrestlers down by position. So you'll notice here next to individual, there's neutral, where we're capturing a lot of unique statistics for your wrestlers on their feet. So the number of times they've been on their feet, how many takedowns they've gotten, how many times they've been taken down, their point differential from their feet, the average points they score every time they're on their feet, how many times they've gotten the first takedown, what percent of times they've gotten the first takedown. A lot of good stuff here that you guys can dig in for neutral. Similar to bottom and top, where we're looking at turn percentage, getaway percentage, all that kind of good stuff that you could look at with your wrestlers. We also have by period metrics. So you could look at these metrics and say, hey, I got some wrestlers that always seem to start slow. They're starting their matches slowly. I can see that because they're getting significantly outscored in the first period. Uh, I don't think they're warming up enough. They're looking at their phone until 30 seconds before their match, and then they're going out and wrestling, and I'm gonna start getting them better warm-ups. Or maybe you have wrestlers that in the third period are getting outscored significantly, and you're like, let's work on these guys' conditioning. They're gassing in the third, etc. So we provide this data so you guys can dig into it and build your coaching plans based on that. And then one of the things we're really working on is trying to produce some more advanced metrics around wrestling. Some examples of that are we're looking at your wrestler's data and we're systematically figuring out what position we think your wrestler is best in. So when you have choice, it's not always we go down, we go down, we go down, because your wrestler may actually have the most success from neutral position or top based on their wrestling style and where we're seeing in the data that they're scoring the most. And so we're providing you with a choice suggestion based on each wrestler. Now, obviously, the coach's eye is the most important, and you guys are seeing it and you know your wrestlers. We're just trying to give you an alternative view to maybe consider that says when you get choice, maybe consider one of these positions based on what the data is saying. Another example of a more advanced analytic metric is the expected value of a free release. So what's the return going to be if you let a wrestler cut his wrestler when he's on top? The fact that you're giving that wrestler one, and then we're looking at your wrestler's takedown percentage and the opponent takedown percentage against him, and we're determining what we think the return on that is going to be for you giving it to him. So you may have some kids that are like, "Hey, coach, I want to be able to cut guys," and you come back here and you go, you won't get the return on cutting somebody. So we're going to keep you riding this guy out, for the period, that sort of thing. So we're working to develop it. If as coaches there's other metrics you guys would like to see, reach out to us. We're totally open to it. We think we have the best metrics in the sport, but if there's things you guys want to see or there's metrics you guys track that we don't have on here, definitely reach out and let us know.
Hey, Jeremy, we've got a question from Wood. It says, can you add forfeits easily to the stats?
Yeah. So to add a forfeit to the stats, you'd basically have to create the forfeit in the event. So you would go to the event that you're in and you would mark the forfeit in there. And I'll show how to mark the forfeit in a little bit when I go to the recording interface, if that's okay. Okay. So the other thing we have is a bunch of pre-built reports. So obviously, like these metrics are great. You can always download them as a CSV, and you guys can manipulate them and do whatever you want to with them. But we also have pre-built reports for you. So a lot of coaches like to print out reports, maybe put them in a folder that they bring to the tournament or a seating meeting. They also like to maybe put some things on the wrestling room wall for kids to look at. So an example of a pre-built report is we produce a leaderboard for you guys. So if you clicked on leaderboard, right there you have the top 10 in a number of different categories that you could print out, put on the wrestling room wall, etc. And so all these pre-built reports, you guys can, build, select, build, print out, do whatever you'd like to with those. And then lastly, I'll just show you, we have a section in here for school records. These don't update automatically based on stats currently. We're looking to go there in the future. But right now you have the ability to add your school records to MatBoss so that your team and you can view and track those pretty easily, right? And that includes taking, I wrestled back in the 90s. If I had a record in the 90s, obviously you could add those wrestlers don't have to be in MatBoss for you to be able to add them to the school records. So you could create a row for some of those legacy wrestlers and put all your school records in here and track them in MatBoss. And then also you could generate a report out of that also that's printable. All right, I'm going to pause there for 1 second. Any questions come in, Eric?
Not as of right now.
Okay. All right, let's talk about logins. So we've rebuilt the way that logins work this year. So previously in MatBoss, you had to put in every athlete and every coach's email and send them an individual email that they had to get, and then they had to fill out and they had to complete in order to get a login to MatBoss. The problem we were running into is a lot of schools had network and firewall issues that were preventing athletes from getting the emails. On top of that, a lot of coaches came to us and were like, "Hey, it's a pain in the butt. I don't like putting I have 40 kids. I don't want to put in 40 kids' emails. It's just extra work for me." So we've redesigned the way that works this year that we hope is easier for you. What we've done here is when you click on logins on the left-hand side, you can see everybody that has a login currently to your account. So coaches, wrestlers, and former wrestlers. You have the ability to edit those at any time. You can disable them, etc. And then you have the ability to invite wrestlers in a much easier way than last year. So at the bottom of the page, there's this common link right here. To invite wrestlers or coaches to create a login to your account, share the invite link below. So all you have to do is click on that link, copy it, and send it to your team. You could text it, you can email it, you could put it on a team message board, etc. Your wrestlers can click on it, create their own login to your team's MatBoss account. And then when they create that application into your account, the names are going to show up as pending invitations here. As a coach, you then just need to approve or deny access for the account. So once they complete that, they're not automatically in. They're going to be in once you approve the pending invite. And we do that because you may want to put this link on the team message board and somebody random gets it or a parent gets it that you don't want like getting into the account and you don't have to approve that access. So this should be much easier for you guys than having to put in every kid's email and make sure that the school network allows them to get the emails, etc. Now, I want to talk about former wrestlers for a second because we get a lot of questions about this. In MatBoss, when a wrestler has been an active wrestler and now you've moved that wrestler to a former wrestler, once they hit former status, they only have access to their own videos and their own stats. They cannot get into other areas of your team or your account, etc. And so what we've seen quite a bit is wrestlers graduate 2 or 3 years later, they want to relive the glory days a little bit and they want to go in and watch their videos, but the coach has locked them out. And the coach has locked them out probably for good reasons, which is like, hey, I think Jeremy might be coaching down the road at one of my competitors. I definitely don't want him having access into my account and looking at things and whatever. So what I want to make sure that you guys are aware of is that when somebody's a former wrestler, they only have the ability to see their own stuff. They can no longer see anything else in the account, your team stats, other people's videos. They can't use it to scout your team, etc. So it's still up to you if you want to give them access or not. But and you can obviously turn off their access at any time by clicking on the former and modifying their login. But I just wanted to make you guys aware that that's how former wrestlers worked.
Hey, Jerry, real quick, a question in this regard. Not sure if you answered it already or not, but a couple of my former wrestlers keep appearing under the wrestlers tab for logins. I disabled them and they are marked as former in the roster, but not sure how to get them off the login tab.
They're listed as wrestlers here, but on the roster they're listed as former. You know
Correct.
what?
Yes, that's
Let
correct.
let me do you mind jotting down, Eric, who that is and what team and I'll just reach out and we can look at their account specifically and see what possibly could be going on.
Yep, no worries.
Okay. Okay, any other questions on the logins? Hopefully this is a lot easier for you guys this year. We get the question sometimes about what do we do about parents? My opinion is you could have my opinion is parents should just use the kid's login. So if a kid has a login, the parent could use the kid's login and then be able to view what the kid views, etc. And then that way you guys aren't having to deal with parent logins and parent access and who is this random email that came in, etc. My opinion would be have the parents just use their son or daughter's login to be able to view the matches. You can be logged in with the same login ID and password on multiple devices. So it's not like one of these things where if somebody logs in, the other person gets kicked out. It doesn't work like that. They could all be logged in at once. So that's personally how I would do it. If you didn't want to do it that way and you wanted to set up parents, when their email comes in, just assign the parent to that wrestler roster ID. And then when they log in, then they would have access to that wrestler's videos. The library is a place where you guys can put content. You can upload links, documents, etc. So maybe you want to put a skin form here. Maybe you want to put links to some technique videos that you think would be interesting for the kids to see. So like in this account, I can see they have a video of a hip heist. If I click on it, it takes me to a YouTube video of Kerry Colat doing a hip heist, it looks like.
This hip heist drill focuses on the speed of our cut. And
so the library is a spot, you guys can manage it. You can put your content in there. Everybody that has access to the account can see the content that's in the library. Messages is a new feature of MatBoss this year. So we've created a message center within MatBoss. Phase one of this message center is the ability for us to send you guys messages in this message board. So that could be like a new feature that we added, or heads up on a new release that we have out, or maybe it's an issue identified that we want to teach you how to work around, or something like that. So right now, phase one was we've built this out so that we can post messages for you into your account. Phase two of this, either later on this year or definitely for next year, is going to be the ability for coaches to be able to create messages for their team. So what that would look like is, as a coach, you could say, hey guys, I want to remember, bring your championship singlets this weekend, and bus leaves at 8 a.m. sharp, be there on time, blah, blah, blah. And then wrestlers that have MatBoss on their phones will get that notification icon, click on it. I got a message from the coach. Okay, I got to remember, yeah, I got to bring that singlet, etc. So that part isn't done yet, but that is definitely on our roadmap and something we're going to get done here shortly. Any questions on any of that so far? Okay. All right, I'm going to quickly show settings. So a couple things on settings. I talked about scorebooks. So if you click on settings on the left and then you go to scorebook, here you can see your scorebooks and the weights that are in your account. You can rename your scorebooks whatever you would like. It's completely up to you. So you would just click in this field here and change the name to whatever makes sense for your team. You know, it could be orange, black, varsity, junior varsity, middle school, girls, you know, however you want to organize your scorebooks. You have the ability to do that. Each one of these scorebooks is unique stats that are grouped together, almost like you basically have like 3 paper scorebooks that come with every MatBoss account. And so events that are in each scorebook roll up to the stats for that scorebook. You also have the ability to modify the weights underneath each scorebook. And where that can be interesting is if you're using your MatBoss account for boys and girls or middle school, for example, they have different weights. So like so for example, like the C Squad scorebook is being used for middle school right now. So I may want to go in here and modify these weights to match middle school weights. And that way, when I'm in a middle school event and I create a new match, I'm using those middle school weights, not trying to crowbar it into the high school weights. Excuse me. Another feature that a lot of folks don't know about is at the high school level, different states have different weight classes. So if your team if you're a Minnesota team and you're going to Wisconsin to wrestle, you probably want to use the Wisconsin weights. So you could come in here and you only have to do this on one device or one of the accounts, and then it replicates to the other devices. But you could come in here and click this reset button. And you could say, for the time being, I want this scorebook to be Wisconsin weights. And I would click Wisconsin. Although, where's Wisconsin? Am I missing it? Man, how wild was that? I'm gonna have to write this down. I don't see
I think it was all the way at the top.
Oh, it was? Oh, there it is. Oh, I think because this is a Minnesota account, it's putting the states that I'm closest to at the top. Okay, so anyways, I can click the Wisconsin weights and you can see that all of these weights changed here in the scorebook. And then I'd click save, and now I can use the Wisconsin weights in that scorebook. And then let's say I get back to Minnesota after that tournament, change it back to Minnesota and go from there. It's up to you if you want to do that. You know, you can always just continue to use your state's weights when you do it, but some coaches like to use the actual weights of the state that they're using. Does that make sense? Okay. The integrations that we have. So MatBoss has integrations built out with track wrestling and USA bracketing. What that means is if your weight certification process and kind of the system that your state uses for capturing results and doing urine seeding and all that sort of thing is one of those two, the first thing you're going to want to do is get your team and your roster built out into those systems, whether that's track wrestling or USA bracketing. Once those are built out, you're going to want to come into MatBoss and just link up your MatBoss account with that team. And you don't need passwords or login credentials or anything like that. You just need to select your team. These systems aren't open right now. So for example, in track wrestling for Minnesota, they're not here, but once track wrestling is open, all of the teams will be listed here, and then you could select your team and then link it up. So you're basically linking your MatBoss account up with track wrestling or USA bracketing. Once they're linked up, I'm going to go to the current season. Once they're linked up, and let's say you're like, okay, the first thing I want to do is I want to get my roster correct. You can come up to the upper right of the roster page and click import. And you can see that we are looking at USA bracketing, and we're grabbing all the names off of USA bracketing. And then we're looking at who's already in your MatBoss account, and we're matching them up. So here I can see that in my USA bracketing team, I have Hunter Braz. He doesn't have a MatBoss roster entry yet, though, in my MatBoss account. So I'm going to select him, and I'm going to go, let's create a new roster entry for him. Same with Ryan Buchanan, etc. Jackson Anderling, he's in my USA bracketing, but for some reason in my MatBoss account, he's marked as a former wrestler. So I'm gonna move him to be a inactive wrestler, etc. So basically, you go through and import your roster from one of these two systems, and you can do it from either one here at the top. Most coaches aren't going to have to do it on both. They're going to be one or the other where you get that right. Any questions on that? The roster import? When you're looking at your roster, if you used MatBoss last year, when you click on roster for the current season, all of your athletes will be here that were from last season. If you wanted to move them to former status, you can just select the level here and make them former. And then obviously you can always look at all the former wrestlers that are here, and you could switch them back if you needed to, etc. You can do the same thing with events. So I've built in this test account, I've built a couple events to show you guys, but you can also import your events. Events that are imported have a logo of USA Bracketing or Track Wrestling right here. So you can see this big October tournament I imported in from USA Bracketing. But to do the import, you basically would click on the import, and from USA Bracketing, I can see a list of all my events in USA Bracketing. Maybe I'll grab one of these duels here, Bristol Bay. It's in the past, but I'll grab it anyways. Click import, and there it is. So now I have that in my MatBoss account. If you don't want to use the integration, down in the lower right, there's a plus symbol, and you can just create the event that you want. Here's, it's a dual meet tournament, multi-dual event. Here's the scorebook that it's in, date, etc. Save it, and you can just, oops. And then you can just manually build the events if you'd like to do that also. Another new feature that we did this year, which coaches have been asking for a long time, is we've built the event structure to be able to handle multi-dual events. So multi-dual events are indicated by these 3 trophies right here. And right here it says multi-dual event. So this is the Edina Try. If I click on that, I can see I have 2 dual meets now that are nested underneath that macro dual meet. Previously in MatBoss, all of these, every duel would just be listed individually, and it was hard to know what dual meets are kind of wrapped under like a dual tournament event or a quad or a try or something like that. Another new feature, or another feature I want to highlight or show is, let me go to a tournament. I'm just going to add a match here. Let me just create a fake match here quick. One thing that's been asked for a long time, coaches have been asking for a long time is the ability to capture tournament points and the placement of individuals in those tournaments. So this is a tournament event. Right now, there's only one match. But if you expand this points and placement within the event, now I can see Robert Lucas had, he was in the tournament, and I can go, hey, he took second, and then I can modify his team points. Let's say he scored 4 points in the tournament. And you can track that at the team level. So now when you're looking at your schedule, I can see at this tournament, our team scored 4 tournament points at that tournament. And then obviously you can click on it and you can remember the place each kid took, et cetera, how many individual points they scored in the tournament, et cetera. And then that stuff replicates across all the stats and the reports and things like that. Any questions or comments on that? Okay. In the last 10 minutes, I'm gonna jump over to the recording interface and just talk through that. Let me share a different screen here. Okay. Eric or anyone, can you see my iPad screen now?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. So right now I'm mirroring my iPad. You guys can see I'm holding my iPad. You'll notice again what I talked about, which is this app now looks exactly like the website. So if you learn it in one spot, now you know it. It's not separate technology or separate user experience based on where you're at. It's the same either way. So let's say it's the day of the tournament. I've added the tournament to my account. The devices have synced with the internet. Now those devices all have these meets on them when I look at the events. The manager clicks on the event, add matches. They can choose to add all matches, or they can choose to add, whatever ones they want. And now I have pre-built scheduled matches that are here. You can change the names of your wrestler. We're going to try and pre-populate your wrestler in here based on the level of the wrestler, varsity, junior varsity, etc., and the weight class they're competing in. We'll try and populate that. But if it's wrong, if it's incorrect or somebody else is wrestling in that spot, it's easy to just click on the name and pick somebody else. You also have access to the opponent, and you have access to the opponent rosters, and you do not have to be connected to the internet to use opposing rosters. So to add an opposing roster to this dual meet, or you would click there's a couple ways you can do it. One is at the top of the event where it says more and those three dots. You can select opposing rosters. And now I could say, all right, let's add, let's grab a different state. Maybe one that has teams here. Maybe North Dakota. All right. So let's grab Bismarck Century. That's who we're dueling tonight. And so I've added their roster and I click save. And now when I click on the opposing roster, you can see Bismarck Century is already selected here. And then I have access to their full roster for the opposing wrestlers. We put these opposing rosters on your device and in your account every single night. So you don't have to be connected to the internet to have all these opposing rosters. Okay. You can do this in an offline mode. And you'll have opposing rosters based on the system and state that is managing that. So for Wisconsin, Ohio, Minnesota, etc., these rosters will come from USA Bracketing. For other states, it'll be Track Wrestling, etc. You can also, if this was a tournament, let's pretend like this is a tournament, you can add additional teams to it too. So let's say there's 4 teams at the tournament, maybe I add a couple other ones, right? I'm going to add Davies, I'm going to add whatever this school is, etc., save it. And now you can see I have all 3 of those rosters there available to me right there. This is an improvement over last year because in the past, you could do this opposing roster stuff, but you had to go through every single team in the state versus like, I'm going to figure out the teams that are just at this event, and I'm only going to be dealing with their rosters at that time. Okay. So let's go ahead and film a match. So to start filming, I'm just gonna press on the camera icon here. You can see I am I'm filming. We're all on the call here. I'm in my office. To start recording, you just press the red circle. I can see that I'm recording because you can see the timers going at the bottom. You can switch colors if you're in a tournament and the referee's giving your wrestler a different color band. There's an easy color switcher at the bottom there. Your wrestler is always the scoring events on the left-hand side. The opponent is always on the right-hand side. So that's why, like, if you get the wrong color, just switch the colors, but your wrestler is always the scoring events on the left. Okay. So now we're going to mark a takedown for us. Let's say they get a reversal. You can see that the score is updating and you can see the scoring events in the timeline. Let's say that now we get an escape. We're back on our feet. We get a takedown. Let's say they get another reversal. And now the referee's like, no, 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 no. I know I said two, but that's actually one. I'm giving an escape instead. All you have to do is go to this event in the scoring in the timeline and click on that X to remove it. And we'll fix the scores, put the wrestlers back in the position they were at, and then you could just rescore the one. Like that. It's that simple. So no need to get too stressed out if there was a scoring mistake or anything like that. At the end of the period, you click on the period plus, choose position. We're going to put the wrestlers in that position, continue to score it, etc., until the match is over. And then when you're done recording, one thing I forgot to mention is in MatBoss, you can start and stop the video as many times as you want while you're recording. So if there's blood time or in between periods or a timeout or something, you can stop the video and pick it back up. And we keep that together in one video file. You're not going to have fragments of videos. We keep it together as one file. And then when you're done, you just click save and done in the upper right. And the match is done. So now I can see in this event, we won by decision 12-9. So the team score is 3-0. And I can immediately go back and watch it if I wanted to, right? It's there. I can watch it. I can fix it. I can change names, etc. You'll notice that this cloud here under status is a gray cloud. It's a gray cloud, which means that video right now is on this device. It's not in MatBoss's environment. Okay. So what you want to do is when you get to good internet or you're in a good spot to upload, you would come back out of the event and you'll notice on video uploads, there's a 1 next to this. That means there's one video on this iPad that needs to be uploaded. So I'd click on the video upload and then at the very top, I just click upload all videos and MatBoss will show you, we've kind of redone some of this to make it a little more user friendly, but we'll show you how far it's progressed. And now the video has been uploaded to MatBoss after it's removed. Now it's in our cloud environment. Now what we do is when we know we have that video safely, we remove it from your iPad. And we remove it from your iPad so you don't have to constantly be managing the storage of your iPad. That you can feel good that we have the video safely. It's no longer on your iPad and you're not going to fill up with videos when you're at the next tournament that you're at. So now if I go back into that event, you can see that that status of that is a green cloud, which means it's in MatBoss's cloud environment. So now if I were to watch it, it's going to pull it down from the internet and play it. Any questions on any of that so far? Okay. I guess the one other thing I'll show is I'll show one other thing and then I'll open it up for questions and dialogue. And I can stay as late as anybody wants if they want to ask questions or whatever. This is a dual meet. In dual meet, sometimes you guys have to adjust team points. So if you click the more at the top of the dual meet, you can see we have a function here to be able to adjust a team point. Sorry. So I could say we had unsportsmanlike conduct at 107, save. And now you'll see the team scores changed. We're up 2-0 now. And then at the top, it'll say our team lost a team point for unsportsmanlike conduct at 107.